How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. I wanted to come with a little bit of a different video, and this is going to be talking about how you can use a side hustle to reach financial independence earlier than if you didn't use a side hustle. So with this channel, it's a little bit difficult now because I have different groups that want different things. I have the original group, which is just people that I knew, which are really interested in financial independence. I have another group that is more on the stimulus side that just wants updates on stimulus. I have another that's all about dividend investing and growing that over time. And then I have a group of people mostly for NAT stock. So it's been growing and people want different things. And this is something that I wanted to make for a while because I think this has the potential to help a lot more people than any individual stock. But it doesn't have quite the appeal that a lot of these other videos have. Now, I will say that NAT has been going up actually recently when everything else has been going down just over the last few days. So I do want to ask, if you want me to cover when I would buy more NAT because it's still volatile, leave that in the comments below because I will make a video if you want me to on what my buy-in price is going to be where I would double my position. But I want to talk to you today about how to reach financial independence earlier using side hustles. So if you don't know, I have a couple different side hustles, and that includes training athletes, that includes bank account bonuses, and then I do that on a personal and a business level. I have a business that does bank account bonuses, and then I also have just a couple other side things that I'll do. I'll paint for my parents' law firm and do a couple things like that. That doesn't pay much throughout the year, but maybe a few $100s. Maybe $500. So I kind of want to go through how you can use this to reach financial independence a lot earlier. So I'll give you a little bit of background on this first. First of all, if you don't know the 4% rule, I'll do a quick overview of it here. But the 4% rule is basically if you have a portfolio that's worth $1 million, you can take $40,000 out a year. You can take 4% of whatever the portfolio size is. You shouldn't run out of money over about a 30-year period. So you can be more conservative and it has a higher chance of being successful and being able to do it over a longer period of time. But there's a study, and basically over any 30-year time span, if you took 4% out of your portfolio of some stocks and some bonds, then there's like a 96% success rate. So using that rule, a lot of people model their financial future through that, especially early retirees, because they don't want to count on Social Security or any other blanket that would help you pay for things over time. So just looking at this here, you can look, if you have investments of $750,000, you should be able to take out $30,000 a year. If you have $1 million, you can take out 40, and so on, down to 2.5 million would be able to get you about $100,000 throughout the year. And this is just something where you should be able to take this out, and then your investments increase in value, and then you can take it out the next year, and so on and so on. Some things aren't accounted for in this, like taxes, but it's kind of a wash because a lot of the time you can use investment vehicles that allow you not to really pay taxes or pay very little in taxes. So there are some things that we're just assuming here, but this is a general rule that you can use. So the question then is, how long do you have to save and invest to be able to retire or become financially independent? The reason this is important is because we don't really want to be stuck at a day job and have to do something that we don't love for the rest of our lives as our kids grow up, as we are grandparents. We want to be able to have independence. So even if you don't quit your job, it would be nice to have the ability to quit your job if you wanted to, or move to something that pays less that you enjoy a lot more. So what is really interesting is no matter what your salary is, if you invest a certain percentage of your salary and then you spend the rest, everyone is the same in how long it takes for them to retire. So we're assuming that you start from zero investments here. But if you make $100,000 and you save 10% and you spend the other 90%, it's the same as if you make $50,000 and you save or invest 10% and spend the other 90%. the numbers work out the same because you're investing and you're spending the same amount percentage-wise. So basically, you can break down how long it takes to become financially independent from the percentage of your salary that you invest. We're going to just assume a 7% rate of return. This is right on par with what the market's done over the last 30 years, 50 years. And we're going to assume this accounts for inflation and all that. So if you save 5% of your salary and invest it in your 401k or through a Roth IRA or whatever you want to do, if you don't get any Social Security or any big windfalls, it will take you 52 years to be able to become financially independent. Let's say that you're making $100,000 a year, you save $5,000 and invest $5,000. You have to be able to reach $95,000 times 25 because that's a 4% rule. And that was going to take you a really long time. That's going to take 52 years. Now, if you invest 10%, it takes you about 10 less years, so 42 years. So if you invest 15, 34, 20, 31, and so on down the line until right when you're at 60, it's around 11 or 12 years. So it's really quick. And as you move down, there's kind of a benefit in multiple ways to being able to save more of your salary. So if you are making $100,000 again, just for easy numbers, and you don't invest anything, you need $2.5 million to be able to retire, but you can't get there because you're investing zero. But let's say you invest 10%, so you invest $10,000 a year. That means that you only need $90,000 a year to be able to retire because you're only spending $90,000. So that is very significant because then you're at $2.25 million instead of the original $2.5 million. And then let's say you invest 20%. Okay, now you are investing $20,000 and spending $80,000. That is really nice because then you only need $2 million and you're investing more at the same time. So as you move down this graph, you need less money and you're investing less money. So it really works on two different fronts there. So before I go any further, I do want to ask if you don't mind to subscribe and like the video below. It really helps out the channel. And if you do want to get started with investing, I do have links to Robinhood and WeBull and M1 Finance. They all give you something free if you sign up. I appreciate it, and I'll get back to the presentation here. Now, what if we add a side hustle? This is really what I want to get into because a lot of that stuff before is stuff that people know or have talked about. But I feel like not too many people talk about adding a side hustle. And, you know, side hustles were big 5 years ago or something. People talked about them. And I think that they were maybe overhyped then and maybe underhyped now. I think a lot of people don't realize that they can make money even if you have no skills. Even if you only know how to do your day job, if you can walk into a bank and have $500 or $200 or $100, you can make money on the side. So I'll explain that a little bit in a minute, but just like I talked about before, it increases your income to invest. So if you have a side hustle and you are able to invest that, and then it also decreases the amount that you need to withdraw when you're in financial independence, when you've already hit your FI number. So if you can make more, you can invest more, and then you also need less later because you have that extra money from the side hustle. Now, of course, then you're still working a little bit, but most people when they retire don't just sit around for 50 years, especially if they're retired, let's say at 30 or 40. So they want to still be able to do something productive, and I think a lot of people just enjoy making money because it's a bar. It's something that you can set for yourself and you can see your progress. It's kind of cool because you know that you're doing well if you can make more and more over time. That's one way of measuring how much people appreciate your product, your service. So here are a couple ideas I do, and these all on the top line are mine. So I do training for just high school athletes. That's something that I've done for a long time. I do bank account bonuses. That's just something I started a year ago, less than a year ago, and I made several thousand from it last year and will make several thousand, if not more, this year. You can do credit card bonuses. So if you're spending money, you can put it on a credit card as long as you have the money to actually pay that credit card off. It's not really dangerous at all, and you can get $500 for spending $3,000 on a lot of cards. So if you're already going to spend it, you might as well get cash back. Another thing you can do is painting. I did painting this last year and made $500 or something. I spent maybe 30 or 40 hours doing that. getting paid $15 an hour or something like that. So that's another solution. YouTube is something that I'm working on right now, and I enjoy doing it, but I also want to get to the point where I can make some money on it, because I think that would be really cool. So that is where I'm at now. I have 5 different ways to make money on the side of my main job, and last year was pretty significant. Another thing you can do, I guess, is reselling. I've done a little bit of that since I've gotten home from college, and I sold some of my old stuff, but you can buy and resell. But those are 5 different ways, and especially with the bank account bonuses. I mean, I say this, but I haven't had anyone comment that they do it. But I know people in person, in real life, that do this, and you can make thousands of dollars really easily from doing this. It takes maybe half an hour of research, half an hour actually setting the account up, and then you just wait for a while, wait for a month or two, then you get a couple $100s. So that's definitely a way that you can make more money. If you have questions about that, let me know below. But other ideas are, anything that you're good at. If you are skilled at woodworking or something and you can sell your woodwork for $20, let's say it takes you an hour and you can sell it for $20, do a couple of those a week. It's not, I'll go through the graph of how much time it can save you, but it's not like this momentous thing that you have to be making $10,000 a year on to make it worthwhile. So those are just some options for you. Now, we're going to assume in this that we need $50,000 a year. The reason that I am assuming this is the average American family makes about 62 and a half, 63. So we're just going to assume you can invest 20% of that. So you can invest about $12,500. You make 63, you're making $62,500. You're saving 20% of that, so then you're spending $50,000 a year. The reason we're going to do that is because it's just easier to go through the numbers. We can only change one variable at a time. So you're saving 20%. Normally, it would take you 31 years to hit financial independence, right? So 31 years and you get to 1.25 million, and that is how long that takes if you invest $12,500 a year. Now, let's say that you can make $500 extra. So this is less than $50 a month, right? So this is really easy. I mean, you could go mow 2 people's lawns every month and make $25 per person, and that would make an extra $500 a year. If you do that, that will cut down your time towards financial independence in several ways, because you can invest another $500. So instead of $12,500, you're investing $13,000 now. And you don't need $50,000 now anymore to retire. You need $49,500. So that seems like it's not that much, but it does make a significant difference over time. So if you can do that, you can cut down your time until financial independence by 1 year, which on a scale of looking over 31 years doesn't seem like that big a deal. But think about everything you've had to do at your job that you've disliked over the last year. Think about 52 weeks where you don't have to go into your day job. Think about 260 days or however many days you have to work out of the year that you don't have to go in, wake up early, miss out on things that you want to do, have to stay later than you want. That is a significant amount, and I guarantee you right now it seems like that's not that much. If you were a year away from being retired, I think it would feel like it dragged on a lot if you didn't like it. $500 brings you 1 year. If you make $1,000, so $83 a month, $83 a month, that cuts down by 2 years. So think about everything you've done over the last 2 years. You would have not had to work at all during those last 2 years. Let's say you can make $2,000. So this still it's starting to ramp up, but that's only $40 a week. So let's say, I don't know, you sell 2 different woodworking projects for $20. That will save you 3 years of having to work. So at this point, now you're investing, instead of $12,500, you're investing $14,500, and now you only need $48,000 because we're assuming that you'll do this in retirement. Now you ramp it up and you're able to make $4,000 a year. Now you can cut down by 5 years your time to financial independence. So 5 years, that's a ton of time. I mean, that's a significant amount of your lifetime. That's, if you live to 100, that's 5% of your life that you don't have to go to work. So that is huge right there. Now, what if you could cut that down even more? What if you were able to get to the point where you make a significant amount of money, let's say $10,000 through whatever it is, and you can cut down your time by 10 years. So you're basically able to cut your time by 2/3. So you cut off 1/3 of your working years just because you can make an extra $10,000. So now you're investing over $22,000. So you only need $40,000 a year from your investments. So you really only need $1 million instead of the original $1.5 million in investments, because you can make $10,000 a year in retirement. Now, let's say you double that, 14 years is what you need then. And let's say you can get to $40,000 a year. Let's say you grow some business and you actually make pretty good money at it. Maybe it's because it's something you really enjoy and you spend a lot of time in it. Or maybe it's just something that's really highly profitable. Maybe you can make $40, $50 an hour doing it. I know from some of our training, sometimes when we're working with small groups, it doesn't pay that great. It pays maybe the same or a little bit less than my day job. But if we work with larger groups, it can pay really well per hour. Like, I've gotten over $100 an hour. Now that's only for an hour or something a night, but still $100 in a night from spending an hour doing training is really good. So let's say you can make $40,000 a year. You could invest now the $12,500 that you already were investing, the other $40,000, $52,500 is invested, and then you only need a small amount now. You only need the ability to draw $10,000 a year from your investments. So you're investing $53,000 a year basically, and you only need $10,000 from those investments. So it would take you less than 4 years to be able to retire if you're willing to do that other job in retirement. And this might seem significant at first, but once you kind of try to start making money in different ways, it gets easier, especially if you're in a couple. I just did my last year review of how much I made, just because when I got out of college was in May, so I just finished my second year, and I made almost $11,000 from stuff outside of my job, outside of bonuses from work and stuff like that. So I'm right at that 21-year mark if I was able to do this in retirement. And if I were to do this with my girlfriend or my future wife, if she could make another $5,000 or something doing something like this, that would significantly cut down our time. So, it's not some pie in the sky idea that you can make $10,000 or $15,000 a year. I guarantee you, if you're watching this and you actually care about making money, you can do it, because just bank account bonuses alone, with how it is now, of course it could change. You can make $5,000 a year, without too much work, with just you doing it. So if you and your significant other could do that, make another $10,000 a year, and let's say you do anything else on the side, whether it's nannying for someone or doing anything, you can make $15,000 a year between the two of you. So that is just what I want to talk about today. There's not anything else I have for you, but I think it's really significant to go through this and kind of realize if you make more and invest more, it can make a significant difference, especially if you are able to do that in retirement. So you don't have to work 30, 40 years before you can retire. If you're able to bump up your income a little bit and you're smart with how you bump it up, don't start buying more stuff and consuming more when you make more. Start by investing more once you're able to make more. So if you guys have any questions, leave them below for me. I appreciate you guys watching. I really like making these videos. These are more the roots that I came from with financial independence, and I think it's really interesting. This is how I learned about finance and how I got really interested in finance. So I appreciate you guys watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks.